Another Troy Trojan heading to the Senior Bowl, offensive lineman Jake Andrews. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Sunbelt. I am your host, Dave Schultz. It's your team every day. Special guest tonight, Jake Andrews, offensive lineman from the Troy Trojans. He's one of two Trojans going to play in the Senior Bowl, and it's a little bit odd. He decided to go to the draft and then got an invite to the Combine and then got an invite to the Senior Bowl. So a little bit out of order. Usually it's declare for the draft, Senior Bowl, and then Combine, but I'm sure he will take it. He goes over going from inside alignment and guard to center. He's very excited to do that. Actually started on the defensive side of the ball in high school, and then he moved over to the offensive line. Talks about, how Troy turned things around under John Sumrall, playing with Carlton Martial, a little bit size differential between the two. Jake 6'3", 320-ish, and Carlton 5'9"-ish and 200-ish. And so you'll hear what he says about that. You'll hear about his favorite game and what he's trying to accomplish down at the Senior Bowl. So joining us now is offensive lineman from the Troy Trojans, center, Jake Andrews. All right, welcome back to another edition of Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. I'm your host, Dave Schultz. Thrilled to be joined by Jake Andrews from the Troy Trojans. He has declared for the NFL draft. He's been invited to the NFL Combine. And he will be down in Mobile coming to the Senior Bowl. That seemed to be all in a little reverse, Jake. Thanks for hopping on. You got the Combine invite before you got the Senior Bowl invite. That's usually not how it works.
I know it. I was really excited for that. I talked to my agents. They were like, hey, be on the lookout for it, and I was like, oh, well, I'll probably be one of the last ways to get it, being in a small school. And then lo and behold, the next morning got the email and was excited about that and was thinking, man, if only I could get into the Senior Bowl, that'd be the icing on top of the cake for that. And that came, I guess, a day or two later. So it's a really exciting time for me right now.
How did you find out that you were going to the Senior Bowl? Usually those are elaborate, made for viral videos.
Yeah. So, I haven't been in Troy for the past few weeks. Coach Sumrall called me and he had some good news for me. And, we spoke and Jim Nagy, the director, got on the phone with a little three-way call. And, he let me know I was going to be able to come down there and have a little fun. And it was really exciting. It was good stuff.
All right, so let's back it up. How did you end up at Troy? Alabama kid going to a home state school. How did we end up at Troy?
Oh yeah, so Troy was actually my first offer. I came down to a camp, I guess my 9th or 10th grade year, one summer, and I was a D lineman at the time. And the offensive line coach had been to practice and told my head coach, he was like, man, you're doing this guy a disservice having him at D line. He needs to be playing offensive line. So came down to a camp, did it as an offensive lineman for the first time. Got an offer. That was my first one. Then I got a bunch more. I was one of those guys that just, everybody in the mid-major started offering me a few Power Fives here and there, and came on a visit my junior year and met two of my best buddies, Dale Gaston and Dylan Bradshaw, who played right beside him for a few years. Just kind of fell in love with it, close to home. Big time family atmosphere, and those two guys really made me feel at home. And yeah, like I said, I just loved it. I couldn't say no.
So when you said the coach was telling others that they were doing a disservice, why were you better fitted to play offensive line instead of defensive line?
I don't know. I'd had a little success early on in high school playing defensive line. My head coach at the time in high school kind of pitched the whole idea that colleges love smart defensive linemen that can really move and are athletic. Because at the time, I was about 230. Like I said, athletic, smart, versatile. I played end and 3-tech, and I could play a little nose here and there too if I had to. And I guess he came to practice and kind of saw me move around. And like I said, he told my coach, he was like, man, this cat needs to be playing offensive line. And Yeah, and anyway, ended up he probably said some of the best words that could have ever been
Yeah.
said that got me where I'm at now, and I'm really grateful for him.
All right, you have matured a little bit, slightly grown, 6'3", 325. Has Jim Nagy said what position is best suited for you? Because you've played all the positions so far, right? You were a guard last year, highly rated on Pro Football Focus, and then, well, we'll move him to center.
Yeah. He mentioned a little bit of center and a little bit of guard. I think there's some people out there that would like to see me play guard and maybe a little bit of a different scheme than what I played at Troy. Since this year we played in more of a pro style offense, and I was at center, so I think they want to see. He has a lot of experience at guard, but can he do it in a different style of offense? So, hopefully I get the chance to do that. It sounds like I'm going to, and hopefully I make the best of that opportunity.
All right, so as an offensive lineman, let's be honest about what Troy was this year. It was kind of run and play defense, and maybe Gunnar Watson can make a couple of big plays, which he did, right? I mean, he made a huge play. I don't think he played all game long. Comes off the bench against South Alabama, converts a huge third down, and then he goes gangbusters in the Sun Belt Championship game. We don't know who this guy is anymore. We thought we knew who Gunnar Watson was, and all of a sudden he's an All-American. Kind of reverts back to form in the bowl game, but I don't know if you've seen a replay of the touchdown, the second touchdown. It was just well thrown, caught, and covered, right? I mean, nobody made a mistake on that whole play, and he came through. But as an offensive lineman, do you prefer the kind of offense that Troy had, kind of just run the ball? I mean, you guys didn't really do too much against South Alabama. Instead, just kind of run the ball, punt, and take your shots when you get them.
Yeah, I mean, I love that pro style offense. You talk about the South Alabama game. That was our mentality. That game was to run the football. We knew, not that we didn't trust Daggy or anything like that. I mean, he's a renowned quarterback. Really good arm, really good guy. But we went into that game knowing we wanted to make a statement for kind of the rest of the season. Let's beat our rival, secure the West at the time for now, and see where that takes us. And we really tried since the beginning of the season, and even when the new coaching staff got there, to pride ourselves on the run game. And we kind of struggled beginning of the season. I say kind of, but we did struggle. And we finally started clicking here and there, and then we finally got a little bit of consistency towards the end of the season. And like I said, we just really all year we wanted to pride ourselves in running the football. And when we were finally able to do that, it was rewarding for us. I know a lot of people, they'll point fingers at the O-line or at Gunner or whoever they want, and we as an offensive line understood that the team's going to go as we do, and we gave it our best every game, no matter what it looked like, what the outcome was. We did, and we ended up winning the conference championship, finishing the season ranked, and winning the bowl game against a really good UTSA team. And I think that's about all anybody can ask for.
All right, more to come from center from the Troy Trojans, Jake Andrews. But first, let me tell you about, are you looking for a delicious treat but don't want all the fat and calories? Then you got to try Built Bar. We just got through the holidays, and I know my goal is to eat a little healthier this year. If you're like me, where you want to eat healthier but don't want to compromise taste, then you got to try Built Bar. With Built, healthy is actually tasty. Seriously, they're so delicious, and you won't think they're good for you. Perfect for your New Year's resolutions. What makes Built Bar so good? Well, for starters, they're all covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. And they come in unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. I'm not sure how Built does it, but these bars taste like candy while maintaining amazing macros. And what's even better is that they're healthy. Only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, with 17 grams of protein. And now you don't need to wait around to get a box. For years, we've been talking about ordering your Built Bars at Built.com. Now you can get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. That's right. Head to your nearest Walmart today, walk to the pharmacy section, and grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up a 4-bar box of chocolate, 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. If you're close to Sam's, run and grab a 13-bar box with our favorite flavors, brownie batter and churro. You can thank me later. All right, I haven't gone to Sam's. I need to replenish my protein shakes, and I will report back once I get my Built Bars. I'm all about cookies and cream. All right, let's hear more from Jake Andrews. Again, you'll hear about his favorite game playing for Troy, what it was like playing in the bowl game, and much more as we continue our conversation with Troy Trojans center, Jake Andrews. Yeah, we're talking with Jake Andrews, Troy Trojans, offensive lineman heading to the Senior Bowl on Locked On Sunbelt. I'm not exactly sure what your definition of struggle is compared to my definition of struggle, but Troy did not lose a ball game since September, and the last time they had lost a ball game was on a Hail Mary. So not a whole lot of struggling. And the other loss was, first game under John Sumrall, 28-10 to Ole Miss. So I'm not exactly sure either one of those situations is struggling. But I didn't want to talk about that because the John Sumralls of the world are ruining it for everybody else when you go in to Troy, team that had some talent but had a losing record last year and wins a conference championship. The West is very tough. The Sun Belt, got a great pub when those three teams won the Power 5 games early on in the season. What did Coach do and instill early on? Because he had been there before. Did he recruit you? And what did he do to turn Troy around?
No, he didn't recruit me. When I committed there, he was still there at the time, and we talked on the phone and all that. I talked to a bunch of the guys on staff at the time, but no, he didn't recruit me. I really did. I liked who he was. I knew about him and had spoken to him when he was there previous. But no, anyway, I mean, if you ever are around Coach Sumrall, his energy is contagious. He doesn't have any bad days. He's just all around a charismatic, good guy. And, a guy that you'd go to war with, absolutely. After 5 minutes of talking to him, you already know, like I'd run through a brick wall for him, and we all would have. Everybody on the team felt that way, and I could say that 100%. But our four core characteristics were attitude, toughness, discipline, and love. And I don't think there was a day that went by where we didn't mention them or talk about them or discuss them at least 2-3 times a week. I mean, we knew that's what we wanted to build a team around. And I mean, we did. We played with insane toughness. We were one of the toughest, most physical teams that I think in the country at any level. We had a lot of love for each other. Our attitude was always good. Our locker room was the best it's ever been since I've been there. Really good, high character guys. And I mean, this is the culture turnaround from what we had previously. Was really the biggest thing, and that's the biggest thing in college football nowadays. You always hear culture. Right. You're either going to talk about it or be about it, and we were about it. So I think that was the biggest thing, and a lot of that is from the players, but it's also a lot from what Coach Sumrall instilled in us.
Well, that culture shined through after the win against South Alabama. You tried to give the division back to the Jaguars by falling behind 17-0 midway through the third quarter at Louisiana. What turned that ball game around?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. That's one of my favorite games of the year looking back.
Yeah, it is now.
Yeah, now it is.
Yeah.
It wasn't at the time.
No.
But we go into halftime and nothing's wrong. We've been there before. There were a few games earlier on in the season we had been down and had to claw back and fight. Maybe not that big of a deficit, but we always ended up winning. And it's actually funny, my mom and my dad, they come to every game, and after the game, them and my fiance, they're sitting there and they're like, "What were y'all doing? What does he say to y'all at halftime? Like, what are y'all thinking?" And I told them straight up, I was just like, we were not worried about it at all. We knew we could win the game. We knew we were going to win the game if it was left up to us, and it was left up to Kamani Vidal, his big run, two big runs at the very end of the game, and that entire fourth quarter was just such a team quarter. I mean, you couldn't ask for any better defense. You couldn't ask for any better offense. And like I said, just those four core characteristics that we build upon. I mean, we live them out all the time, and that's what we did. And I'm really glad we won that one because now it can be my favorite game.
Well, then did you lean on that ball game in the bowl game because you guys fell behind UTSA 12-0, and they're one of the highest scoring teams in the nation. And after the 12, you guys blinked them, and that allowed whatever offense you guys needed to get going. Yeah,
I tell you what, the definition of a second half team, that's for sure. Except for the Sun Belt Championship, man.
Right.
Having a defense like that in the second half, and then offense being able to make a little bit of adjustments, some corrections here and there. To put our foot on the gas in the second half. The ability that we had to do that all year was was incredible, and I'm really grateful for it because I think we put a little bit of fun and pride back in the city of Troy and the athletics in Troy. So I'm really hoping that continues.
It is a Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day, talking with former Troy Trojans offensive lineman Jake Andrews. Let's talk about that Sunbelt championship. Grayson McCall came back. He was banged up, had missed 3 ball games. You know, watching it from afar, it looked like one team wanted to be there and one team did not. I don't know if they were just shocked. I mean, it felt like all the passes were like, 15 yards and then like 60 yards running after that. But you guys came out a ball fire. Give Coastal Carolina some credit because they hung tough in the second half. They didn't go away. Could have got a lot uglier. But it just felt like you guys were all amped up, raring to go in that Sun Belt championship game and got off to, what was it, like 17? Wasn't it like 17-0, like midway through the first quarter?
Yeah, first quarter. I think it was 31-0 at halftime, 24-0 at halftime, something like that.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was fun. No, I mean, we definitely wanted to be there. Can't really speak for them. They're a heck of a football team. They always are, always have been.
Right.
I think our mindset, for some of the guys that have been there for a few years, we kind of owed it to them for what had happened the previous 3 years. All the close games where they probably were the better team. Who really knows? Their record definitely showed that they were, and we came up short. And I in my mind, it's probably a little rivalry construing over there. Those tight games, and then having a game like that in the conference championship. Definitely, I have to assume for them leaves a bad taste in their mouth, and a little bit of revenge in ours. So it's going to be a good game for the coming years, and I'm hoping they get to see each other more often.
All right, couldn't have you on a podcast. You're a center. You got to go after those linebackers. How difficult is it to block Carlton Martial?
I've been hit very, very, very hard about 4 times in my career where they're notable hits, and I kid you not, 3 of them are from Carlton Martial in a practice, whether we had pads on or not. Man, he gets under you, gets in your chin, gets in your chest, uses his entire body, his head, his hands, his hips, his feet, everything, and he shocks linemen, shocks blockers. I tell people all the time, and I'm not afraid to say it at all, and I'm not biased at all, just because he's one of my good buddies and I played with him for so long. But he is the best football player I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes. I don't care what anybody has to say about it. I believe that 100%. You can look at his size all you want. He's down here with me training right now in Pensacola for the combine and all that, and I'm telling you, he's the best football player I've ever seen with my 2 eyes. I love him to death. He's a great guy. But if you take all that away, football, he's got some God-given talent. Maybe not God-given size, but God-given talent. And he is an instinctive dude. He knows the game of football really well.
Yeah, it should be noted Jake Andrews is 6'3", 325-ish, and Carlton Martial 5'9"-ish, maybe 200 pounds, maybe a little bit more. He's built like a brick house, but I mean, that's the size differential that we're talking about here. All right, so now let's talk about you moving from we already talked about moving from defensive line to offensive line, but then you were playing tackle, then you moved into guard, and then you went to center. How did that come about? And talk about the difference between tackle and guard. And you're kind of big for a center, right? I mean, Jason Kelce is one of the premier centers in the NFL, and he's listed at 6'3", 285.
Yeah, no doubt. Jason Kelce is actually he's my favorite guy to watch in the league. No, I played tackle a little bit in high school. I never got to play it in college, and that's probably for the better. I'm not the longest guy. It probably wouldn't have went too well. But going from guard to center was a huge change for me. I knew the center position, but it was a lot to learn just the style of offense that we were trying to implement with the new coaching staff this year. Going from a spread concept where you're kind of on tracks the whole time. You're not super worried about an ID. You're really like it says. You're trying to spread everybody out. You're trying to run. You're trying to create lanes. Get defenders out in space with your best athletes, and trying to get in this pro style offense that I've never really haven't been in since ninth or 10th grade year when I was playing defense was a little difficult. But Coach Popovich and Coach Craddock really helped me out a lot. Teaching me kind of the intricacies of a pro style offense. It didn't come very easy. I'll admit that. But once I finally got the hang of it and got rolling, I was rotating at center and guard, and then we had a few injuries that kind of limited the competition at center, and I slid in there, and I guess I did a good enough job to keep going, and I'm glad I did because I wouldn't want to change a thing from the season with the outcomes we got. But yeah, it was fun to be able to play center because I've always wanted to. Always wanted to just be able to be the first guy to touch the ball every snap. So, but yeah, that was fun. I got to give a lot of credit to Alex Ward and Coach Popovich for helping me out with that transition.
All right, so now you're down there in Pensacola. You said you're training for the combine, but you got to train for the Senior Bowl first. So it's very odd where practices are much more important than the game. You'll be going one-on-one with some, big-time defensive tackles. So how do you get ready for that and then kind of shift it to where, they're going after the measurables more than anything else in the combine?
Yeah. I mean, for me, a guy that's not going to, be a freakish measure, I'm not going to have the 36-inch arms, not going to be, 6'5", all that good stuff. I just got to go out there and compete my tail off. Some of the things I'm doing to get ready is definitely a lot of the mental side of it. Obviously, down here training, getting some of that physical stuff going right now. But as soon as they announce the teams, I'm going to be harping on somebody to get me some film from the guys I'm going to be going against in practice, just so I can kind of get a head start on those. It's like you said, it's kind of weird. Those are your teammates throughout the week, but the practices are the most important thing.
Right.
The game's a game. It'd be fun to win. It's a fun time, but at the end of the day, you got to make your money in the practices. And I pride myself on watching a lot of film and being able to break guys down and figure out who they are, what they like to do. Probably to a deeper level than some people may think about film. So yeah, I can't wait to get the teams announced, figure out who I need to start studying.
So what are your measurables? I mean, we know your height and your weight. I mean, are we getting with this already with the short arms and the small hands? I presume you have big hands because you're a big guy. But all right, so what are your measurables? Is that, again, that for someone who didn't play football, that's the most annoying thing ever because you can either play football or you can't play football. And an inch or two on the arms, I guess is going to matter. But I'm not the one making the pick. So how long are your arms?
Yeah, they're 33s.
Okay.
About 6'2.5" right now, about 315. So nothing that's going to stand out on paper, nothing that's going to get a red flag going anywhere. I would hope, but hopefully it's good enough.
Are you trying to bulk up or slim down or just
yeah, I'd like to lean up a little bit, maybe
okay.
drop 8 to 10 pounds, just especially for the combine.
Right.
Definitely want to maintain for the Senior Bowl just what I'm used to playing at, just so I don't lose any of that strength or just kind of that I guess that callus, that full body callus you kind of get of knowing, understanding your body at a certain weight, being able to play at that all year consistently. I don't want to just sit here and say, okay, let's break off 10 pounds and be 10 pounds lighter playing when I've never done that. So.
Can you feel the difference between 5 and 10 pounds?
Absolutely. The difference between being 310 and being 320 or 305 and 315 it's for me at least it's pretty noticeable. It really is. With obviously weight distribution and being able to create leverage and create drive and power, especially when you're going against heavier defensive linemen. Most of them 280, 275 is 290. But when you get those big tackles in there that are 300 pounds, the same as you realize when they weigh a little bit more than you or not.
Right. He is Jake Andrews, former offensive lineman with the Detroit Trojans. He is heading to the combine and he's heading to the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. Thank you so much for hopping on Locked On Sunbelt. Congratulations on a tremendous career. And we will see you in Mobile. Rumors have it, Jake, that the draft starts in Mobile. I don't know if you've heard that before.
I've heard it. I really appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, Jake. All right, I want to thank Jake Andrews for hopping on Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. We'll see him in Mobile in a couple of weeks for the Senior Bowl. We will get to week number 3 of Sunbelt Hoops later on this week. We're also expecting Tim Belk, new head coach of Coastal Carolina, will hop on later in the week as well. And next week, we'll probably have Jared Clark, defensive lineman from Coastal Carolina, joining us on the show as well. Want to thank you very much for tuning in to another edition of the Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Have a great night, everybody.